The Galactic Council had seen many strange things in its thousand-year history, but nothing quite prepared them for humanity's obsession with pets. When humans first joined the interstellar communion, the other species found it absurd that these apex predators from a death world would voluntarily cohabitate with smaller creatures, calling them family and spending vast resources on their care. Captain Rhea of the Valor Angered found the whole concept particularly amusing. Her species, the Valorans, were logical, efficient, undoubtedly practical. They bred livestock for sustenance and kept working animals for labor. But the idea of an emotional bond with an inferior species, preposterous. They treat them like children, she remarked to her second in command as they reviewed reports from human colony ship Wanderer. Look at this. They have medical facilities dedicated solely to these pets. They mourn them when they die. Itis weakness. Her crew nodded in agreement, their crystalline face reflecting the cold blue light of the command deck. Humans were effective soldiers and decent engineers, but this peculiarity made them seem less formidable in Valoran eyes. Everything changed during the Krell incursion at Frontier Station Zeta 7. The station was a diplomatic hub home to representatives from 40 species. Among them was Jax, a human security officer who had recently transferred from Earth. Jax was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, quiet demeanor, preferring the night shift where he could patrol in relative solitude. What made him noteworthy was his companion, a small four-legged creature humans called a dog. This particular one, a golden retriever named Apollo, accompanied Jax everywhere, his tail wagging, his brown eyes constantly watching his owner. The other species found it odd. Captain Rhea, stationed at Zeta 7 for diplomat escort duty, found it pathetic. Your creature serves no tactical purpose, scheduled Jax one evening, her voice carrying harmonic resonance typical of Valorant NS. It cannot fight. It cannot repair. It consumes resources. Why burden yourself? Jax had simply smiled, scratching Apollo behind the ears. She didn't, but she would. The Krell were raiders, vicious reptilian marauders who struck fast and disappeared faster. When they breached Zeta 7's hull in 3 locations simultaneously, chaos erupted. Alarms shrieked. Atmosphere vented. The station's defenders scrambled to respond. Captain Rhea led her unit toward the main breach, expecting to coordinate with the human security teams. But Jax wasn't at his post. Rhea's scanner showed his signature every levels down in the residential sector, exactly where he should embed during an invasion. Foolish human, she muttered, dispatching to soldiers to retrieve him while she focused on Thekral threat. What her soldiers found would be reported throughout the Galactic Council for years to come. Jax was cornered in a residential corridor. 5 Krell warriors, each twice his size, had him surrounded. His rifle was empty, discarded. His sidearm was firing its last rounds. Blood streaked his face from a gash above his eye. He was outmatched, outgunned, and by analogical assessment, dead. But he wasn't retreating. He wasn't calling for help. He was standing over something. His body positioned between the Krell and a small form behind him. Apollo lay on the ground, his leg twisted at an unnatural angle, whimpering but alive. A Krell had struck him during the initial breach and Jax had abandoned his post, abandoned Protal, abandoned logic to reach his companion. Stand aside, human. The lead Krell hissed, plasma blade igniting. We claim this sector. You die either way. Jax's response was barely human. It was a sound that came from somewhere primal, somewhere ancient. Touch him again, he growled, and I'll show you what a death world predatorily looks like. The Krell laughed. Their translator didn't quite capture human rage. What happened next took 17 seconds. Jax moved with a speed that shook the Valorian soldiers watching from the corridor entrance. He didn't fight like a trained soldier. He fought like something feral. His combat knife found the first Krell's throat before their plasma blade could swing. He used the falling body as a shield against the skinned, then drove his blade through the gap in its armor, plating with surgical precision. The third Krell managed tore claws across Jax's shoulder, tearing flesh. He didn't slow. He grabbed its arm, twisted it with a sickening crack, and used its own plasma blade to end it. The fourth and fifth Krell tried to flank him. Jax grabbed a piece of broken deck plating and swung it like a bat, crushing one skull. Thefino Krell turned to run. Jax didn't let it. He tackled it, and what followed was too brutal for the Valoran soldiers' reports to fully detail. When Captain Rhea arrived moments later, she found Jax kneeling beside Apollo, his hand shaking as he carefully lifted his injured companion. 5 Krell warriors lay dead around him. His body was a canvas of wounds, but his eyes were focused entirely on the dog, Medic, he said quietly, his voice raw. Please, he needs a medic. Rhea stared. Her crystalline features. Unable to process what she'd witnessed, this human had abandoned tactical sense, ignorant self-preservation, and fought with a ferocity that exceeded anything in valor and combat doctrine. For what? For a creature that couldn't even speak. Viewed as she watched Jax cradle Apollo, murmuring reassurances while they waited for medical assistance. Something clicked in her understanding. Humans didn't keep pets because they were weak. They kept them because their capacity for love was so vast, soul-consuming that it extended beyond their own species. And that love didn't make them vulnerable. It made them unstoppable. Captain Rhea filed her report with a new addendum when assessing human combat capabilities. Consider not just their physical prowess, but their emotional bonds. A human protecting what they love is not bound by logic, pain, or survival instinct. They become something far more dangerous. The Galactic Council took note. From that day forward, no species mocked human pets because they had learned a fundamental truth about humanity. You could threaten a human's life and they might negotiate. You could threaten their world and they might strategize, but threaten what they love. Then youth is something the galaxy had rarely seen. A human with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. JAX recovered. So did Apollo. And Captain Ryan never questioned the logic of human bonds again. After all, she had witnessed what happened when you endangered a cube owner.